What's up, everybody? Welcome in to the Early Edge live NBA playoff preview show edition. I am your host, Alan Bell, and we're going to have a great show lined up for you today. And I'll tell you what, let's not waste any time. Let's bring in the stars of the show. Gentlemen, prop stars, looking sharp, my man. How we doing?
What's up, AB? Mikey, Micah, great to see you guys again. I've really been enjoying these playoff streams. They've been a ton of fun, and we've got another great 3 games to break down tonight.
Man, I've enjoyed them too. I hope everybody in the chat has as well. And continue, as we've done the last couple nights, drop every single prop question that you have, spreads, totals, etc. You name it. I promise we will get to them. Micah Roberts, looking sharp as always. How we doing, man?
We're doing excellent. Let's get this thing going and get some winners.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. M squared, how we doing, bud?
Doing great. Had a few plays this afternoon in Major League Baseball. One of my bigger ones on the Oakland A's. Got them in the first 5 and the full game. They got the job done. So I had to throw on one of the A's hats for the stream, show a little respect, and maybe take another team that's from a similar location.
A little hint there. Yeah, I like it, man.
Huh? Okay.
I like it. All right. First up, before we get into the games here, I want to discuss the injuries that we have because we've got Suns guard Devin Booker. All right, we've got Chris Middleton of the Bucks, and then Luka Doncic, ruled out for tonight. So first, I want to start here with Devin Booker. All right, with the Suns, he's got a grade 1 right hamstring strain, expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks. All right, so I throw it to you guys. Feel free to jump in. How large of an injury is this for the Suns? What are you expecting? What do you think? Yeah,
I think that this is a massive loss for Phoenix. I personally felt that Devin Booker was a legitimate MVP candidate. I know a lot of other people did as well. Just had an absolutely terrific season. Obviously was the best player on the best team during the regular season in the NBA. His presence cannot be missed enough. One of the best closers, shot makers, fourth quarter players in the NBA. We saw him go for 30 points in the first half of game 2, and then his absence was obviously felt in a variety of ways, with Phoenix losing that game to a very game Pelicans team. I mentioned this earlier. This Pelicans team is not your average 8 seed. In my opinion, had this roster been assembled to begin the season, they would probably be the 6 seed, potentially even higher, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think that Phoenix is in for a dogfight with a very game underrated 8 seed.
Yeah, Micah, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's a huge blow, and they don't have the people to fill them up. Landry Shamet, Cameron Payne, not filling the holes, not doing a very good job. And this team has been resilient all season. Chris Paul missed some time, Aiton missed some time, and it was all Devin Booker that pretty much held the ship to lead them to the most wins in the NBA. This is going to be telling here. We'll find out the next couple games here because they better be careful because New Orleans, as Prop Star said, they are feeling it, and McCollum's going to fill it with that crowd when they come in. I expect a tough match for Phoenix. I'm probably not going to bet it at all. Booker, by the way, I have him at rated about 4 points to the number, so that's a big drop off, one of the largest numbers in the NBA.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a big drop off, as you mentioned, and then it's just the worst timing. I would feel a lot better about them if they were somehow able to hang on and get that win. But dropping that game at home and then now losing Booker and heading on the road, it's a tough spot. So some of those situations, I hope that Chris Paul is ready to play 42 minutes a game because if they don't win this one, he's going to be forced into that situation and he's going to have the body to hold up for it. And they're going to have some massive stuff from DeAndre Ayton, and it's probably got to be Cameron Johnson. We saw flashes from him at certain times in the year. The thing that we have to note about that, though, is those flashes in regular season games a lot different than the way the basketball is played in the postseason here in these must-win games. This game is going to be very interesting. I have it as a true pick 'em right now, but I think Booker, honestly, in a playoff format, could be worth as much as 7 points.
Wow. Yeah, prop stars. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, 2 things I just wanted to point out really quickly was just how unlucky Phoenix has been dealing with injuries in the postseason. We saw Chris Paul last season, just terrible luck for them. I was actually surprised that the series shift or the series price didn't really shift that much. The Suns were minus 400 prior to the Booker news. After the Booker news, they're still minus 325 favorites to win this series. Their title odds went from plus 275 to plus 325. So in my opinion, that was not nearly the kind of necessary reaction that I feel like should have taken place, having lost someone that's a legitimate MVP candidate.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at the futures. Yeah, Mike, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that's exactly the way I read it. The adjustment that we've seen in the pricing for the series there, to me, what I tell you, it reads like they think that if there was a game 7, he would be out there playing. That's what it reads as to me. So do with that what you will. I do think that under normal situations, we're talking a 2-week time period. In this situation, I don't know. It depends on how much they want to risk the future to go all in and win this year or not.
Yeah, it's true. All right, jumping to Chris Middleton there with the Bucks. All right, sprained left MCL, expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks. Mike, I'll come right back to you. What are your thoughts on that? His injury, how it affects the Bucks this series, and also possibly moving forward.
It definitely has an impact on them. Someone else is going to have to step up. What we saw at the end, or really a lot of that game, last game, and then not having Bobby Portis out there, the combination of having both of those guys off the floor, definitely not great for Milwaukee. But in a very similar situation, that game's basically a pick 'em back in Chicago. If they're going to defend the same way and Vucevic is going to hit enough threes and DeRozan's going to play the way DeRozan has played in those games, Giannis is, again, he's just like Chris Paul. He's going to have to play all the minutes. He's going to have to make all the free throws. He's going to have to not pick up those fouls in those situations. But as far as they go, I mean, looking at Boston and Philadelphia right now too, like, doesn't look good if Middleton's going to miss any part of the next series, if they even get through the Bulls here, which I can't even believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, that's a tough road, man. Yeah, Micah, go ahead.
Middleton, I have him about 3 points to the number, and I think it's a big loss for them. He's kind of the leveler, like the guy that everybody's doing their crazy things, Holiday and Giannis, but Middleton's like the guy that's like, okay, let's cool down. And he's great from 3-point land, good defender. That's going to be, you just can't replace somebody like that. So I wish him a speedy recovery.
Props.
Yeah, I think Micah and Mike both summed it up really well. Middleton is a very underrated player, two-way player, typically tasked with guarding the opposing team's best wing, or him or Jrue Holiday. Very versatile defender, then offensively can do a lot of things, can step up and be the first option when Giannis is on the bench as well. So another thing that the Bucks, in my opinion, outside of their starters, they lack depth. I think Phoenix is positioned better, in my opinion, have a little bit more depth. Their depth has a little bit more experience. I just don't think that the guys who are going to be soaking up these minutes behind Middleton are quite as capable as some of guys like Cameron Payne, Cam Johnson, etc. that Phoenix has. So I definitely think this is a significant loss for Milwaukee.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. And this is not how you want to be starting out your playoffs for either team. All right, let's get into our best bets here real quick. And this is what we have so far. Generally, we almost always end up adding them throughout the show, and especially what you guys drop in the chat. Those are always fun in terms of what we're going to take, what we like, what we're going to fade. So please drop all those questions, drop what you're on in the chat. But let's put these up right here. We've got 2 here. Props, I'm going to start with you. All right, Karl-Anthony Towns, man, talk to me.
Yeah, I'm fading Cat. Karl-Anthony Towns under 39.5 combined points, rebounds, and assists. I went on a long tangent last night about how Jaylen Brown's line was overly inflated and he hadn't quite earned it. Looking at all of his previous games in the playoffs, just didn't make sense to me. Same exact scenario here with Cat. This is just a very large number for Towns. He's only eclipsed this one time in his previous 7 career playoff games. I know that's not a significant sample. He's averaging 32.1 points, rebounds, and assists over the course of his playoff career. Stayed under this line in 3 or 4 regular season games against Memphis. It took the one game going to overtime in order for him to pile up 40 PRA. And if the game ended in regulation, he would have stayed under this line in 4 or 4 games. It appears Steven Adams has fallen out of the rotation in Memphis. Jaren Jackson Jr., Xavier Tillman likely to soak up a lot of those minutes at center. In my opinion, both of them are better options to guard Cat on the perimeter. At least they kind of have more lateral quickness, more athleticism. Memphis is also a good defensive team. I think that gets overlooked with how good they've been offensively, ranked 6th in the regular season. Towns certainly capable of erupting for monster stat lines whenever the guy takes the floor. However, he's yet to display the extra gear, in my opinion, in the season. where he just takes his game to the next level. Until he's able to consistently prove that he can eclipse a number this large, in my opinion, this is an auto fade at this number. It's just overly inflated. Hasn't shown me he can get it done in the playoffs. This one, I was just an instant fade for me when I saw it at this number.
I got you. Micah, coming to you. The Warriors on the money line. Eat a little juice. You like it there. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a Nuggets team that is absolutely struggling. Can't get any help. Can't get any three-point shooting. Can't get any shooting really outside of Jokic. And I hate that. I'm seeing all these comments and tweets of like, oh, the people voted for the wrong MVP. That's the regular season, and what he did was phenomenal because he's been dealing with this same crummy lineup all season long, and somehow managed to beat a few good teams and win 48 games or something. That was pretty impressive. I still think he's the MVP, but Embiid with the shot last night just sent everybody into a whole nother zone of craziness and saying the real MVP is Embiid. But beside the point, nothing's going to change here. In fact, they've gone backwards over the last 3 weeks, 4-10 against the spread. They lost, coming home, they say, oh, okay, the Nugget crowd's going to be big. They're going to have a lot of Warrior fans there too. But the thing about home, when I look at them, 5 of their last 7 games, they lost. 3 of them were at home to the Lakers, Spurs, and Timberwolves. And that Lakers team, that was the last game of the season. I know the Nuggets didn't put up a great fight, but absolutely had nobody there. And I believe some of those games at the end were games where seeding was in play. They were kind of mini playoff games for the Nuggets, and they failed. And now the Warriors are coming in. Draymond Green, he is at he's playing free safety on defense. He looks amazing. He's covering 2 guys at once, helping out. I mean, he's doing some crazy stuff out there, and Steve Kerr's encouraging it, and he's completely taken the Warriors to the next step. I have them rated as the highest rated team that you would make a point spread for with the Draymond Green. And, if they win again here, it's going to tick up another few tenths of a point up to where they're at. And I just don't see the Warriors dropping this game. They come with so many different angles, and that 3-point shooting, I mean, so many different guys that can do it. And there's no match for the Nuggets, and I feel sorry for Jokic. And, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of a Nugget fan, a Jokic fan, but I just see the reality on the wall there.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have lost the last 3 games. They opened the season winning 3 straight against the Warriors without Draymond Green. But they've lost the last 3 now. So there's no momentum, anything from that happened earlier in the year. And Draymond Green didn't play those earlier games either. So I just see the writing on the wall. And money line, in case the Nuggets do play a good game, I feel okay laying an extra 20 cents just to win the game.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Get you a little insurance there. And yeah, look, I want a T-shirt that has like, what is it, props? The Death Lineup 2.0? Is that the name of it?
Yep.
Yeah, I want a T-shirt with that. Now, all right, we got our 2 best bets here. Like I said, we'll certainly hit on some more and add some more throughout the show. Please keep dropping those in the chat. But something that you've asked for, and M Squared has delivered. Look at this. The donkey is back. All right, M Squared, break it down, man. What do you got?
Yeah, a little donkey here. This is not a full unit play for me to be 0.3 of a unit roughly on that. I know you want player props. I'm not loading up lots of player props like we do in the NFL in the postseason here. Very, very difficult to have 6-7 player props in that situation. So I'm taking a bunch of alt lines. Grizzlies plus 8.5, Mavericks plus 17.5, Golden State Warriors plus 7.5. Grizzlies game. Look, I think that they're the better team. I think they've made some excellent adjustments here with Steven Adams getting kicked out of the rotation. Prop stars went into a big little bit on that, and I agree completely there. So I like this one here as this line approaches 3 full possessions for them. I think we're in for a very competitive game. Then the Dallas Mavericks, 17.5. Yes, they're without Luka. Yes, they played competitive basketball before. If you want to get greedy, drop that one down to even 12.5, 13.5. I personally don't mind it. You can definitely bring this one up into the plus 20 territory. However, I'm going to take it at 17.5. There are definitely scenarios here where in late game scenarios that they end up losing this game by 14, 15 points. So I feel pretty good about the range here in the simulations at 17.5. And then the Warriors, obviously, this is the one that I'm most worried about. I love that it's the last one because if we hit the first 2, very easy for me to get out of this and not lose any money if the situation presents itself. I would love to get this number to 8.5. They're Sportsbook knows that. That's why 7.5 is my only option really at this point. So I think this is the only one that's potentially vulnerable, but I do expect them to go in and get the win. It's a massive opportunity for the Warriors here. Steph Curry minutes limit's going to be mostly removed all the way tonight. He's definitely going to play more minutes in this game, but they know that they have a huge opportunity here to steal this series, to take it right now tonight, knowing that Memphis, Minnesota, the opponent on deck, it's a 1-1 series, definitely looking like one that could go 7 games. The other 2 series, Utah, Dallas, and now Phoenix and New Orleans also can have to play several games. If they can go in there, sweep the Warriors or sweep the Nuggets, they'll be well on their way to sweeping them with a win here tonight. Could mean some excellent things for them down the road here in the playoffs.
Man, I love it. I have missed those, man. Those are my favorite things in the world. That's a strong one, too. John Newquist says, man, I like the M squared parlay. Absolutely, dude. I like it, too. All right, let's jump into the games here and break these down. And look, these numbers were live right before we went on. They could be up and down by half a point, so work with us on that one. But the first game here, all right, 7:30 Eastern tonight. Grizzlies, 2-point favorite at the Timberwolves, total 237.5. Prop stars, start with you, man. What do you say out of this game? What do you like? Were there any prop plays that you thought about other than Cat that you were looking at? Just anything that was on your mind with this game. Hit it, brother.
Yeah, fascinating matchup. I can't wait for. I definitely think the Timberwolves have a very strong home crowd. And, they're going to be up for this game, in my opinion, as well. I do like Memphis a lot after watching how they played in Game 2, so I definitely think this game is going to be largely competitive. As far as other props are concerned, I took a good look at fading Patrick Beverley, his PRA line of 19.5. Just so many things can happen with him where he can go under that line. Obviously not shooting a lot. Furthermore, he can get into foul trouble very easily. Such a physical defender, such a physical presence. We see him pretty much get into foul trouble in nearly 2/3 of the games the guy plays in. Technicals, ejections are even an option with this guy. Just so many ways for him to go south, in my opinion. That was really the only other prop in this game that I kind of gave somewhat of a thought of. I do like Jaren Jackson if he's soaking up minutes at center. Still want to see how the rotation plays out. How many minutes Steven Adams ends up getting, unlikely to get many, but see how big of a role Xavier Tillman has. Memphis is just very deep, have a lot of guys who can score. Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane, obviously we know about Ja. Other guards off the bench, Melton, just Tyus Jones. They just have such a deep backcourt rotation, such a talented team. I think Memphis is going to personally roll in this game, even though it is a great home court for Minnesota.
All right, real quick before we get to Mike and Micah here, just some picks of SportsLine experts where they're at for this game. Mike Barner is on the Grizzlies -1.5. We have our site play from the show this morning on the early edge, Grizzlies -1.5. Zach Simony is on the Grizzlies -2. Matt Severance is on the Grizzlies money line -125. All right, yeah, go ahead, bro.
One thing I just want to point out real quick, I think a big factor in this game I wanted to mention will be the play of D'Angelo Russell. He had a miserable 2 games in Memphis, just absolutely atrocious. During the regular season, this guy, I believe, scored 30 points in 3 of the 4 games against Memphis, was absolutely phenomenal in their regular season matchups. I think going back home will be helpful to him, but yeah, if he isn't able to contribute anywhere near the sort of regular season production that we're accustomed to, I just think Minnesota is in a lot of trouble.
Let me ask you this, Prop Stars, is D'Angelo Russell, because Edwards had his game. Nobody really had a game in Game 2. Russell knows that he's part. This is like a trio rotation. He's like, I'm getting mine tonight. I'm gonna get mine at home. I'm gonna shoot the ball and I'm gonna score. I'm gonna help this team win. That's
what I'm leaning towards. If I kind of like the discount. His points line is 16.5.
So, all right. So real quick, I was gonna say, continue with this. I wanted to bring it up while we're talking about it. Graydon Brock asked, D'Angelo Russell over under 16.5 points on FanDuel. So continue, please. Yeah.
So I would caution with him, though. While I do anticipate him being aggressive, what we saw in Game 1, he didn't shoot the ball well at all, and it resulted in him playing less than, I think he played 25 minutes in that game. So yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if he gets off to a bad start if Minnesota decides to go deeper into the bench. Malik Beasley ends up getting more minutes, Jordan McLaughlin. So I do like it. I do anticipate a better version of him, especially playing at home. I think it'll be just a more comfortable environment for him, but he's on a very short leash, which is why I didn't have the confidence to make it a play, even though I do anticipate him bouncing back tonight.
Yeah. M squared, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I definitely lean towards the over on Russell. I don't love his game as a player. I think he takes some really bad shots at times as well. His shot selection is incredibly poor. I actually like that for the Grizzlies side. As far as the minutes and everything, also important to note in the last game, none of the starters played the last 6 minutes of the game in the blowout. So you can bet that he mostly would have been out there, and that 27 minutes would have at least got him into the 32, 33 range. So I expect competitive game in that spot. My simulation number on it is Grizzlies minus 1.3, and it feels really short. If you ask me to handicap the game just from watching the game and understanding the league, I would still make them closer to minus 3.5 in this spot. The computer likes it at 1.3. I'm obviously still betting on them on the alt line. I think it should be competitive at worst, and I would not at all be shocked to see a double-digit Memphis win in this game.
Yeah. Here's a quick question, and feel free if anybody likes this, jump on it. Milton Adams asks, John Morant, under 1.5 3-pointers plus 100. Any thoughts there?
No.
I don't like it. I think that you're very vulnerable, especially if they're trailing and not winning, and he's forced into shooting some of those shots in late game situations, which I definitely think is possible. I think there are much better ways to play the game and have bets tonight in general than to try and play with some fire on Morant under 2 threes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right. Let's jump into the next game here. Let's take a look.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You're negating my input on this game.
Oh, sorry. I thought you already did. My bad. Go ahead.
I have it on SportsLine, by the way. I was one of those guys with the Grizzlies as well. I just think the game one gave the Grizzlies the wake-up call they needed. The Grizzlies, the team that led the regular season in rebounding, steals, and block shots. That's so huge because this is how they win all their games. This is how they jump out on teams. They double-digit over second and third quarter over the Timberwolves and wiped them out. And they were doing that to teams all year long, sometimes the first quarter, sometimes the second. But that's how they were winning all season long, led by their defense. And game one woke them up. Game two, they came out. That team from 3 weeks ago is back now. And I think they're going to take care of business, even though they didn't win any game in Minnesota this season.
Yeah. First off, thank you. Second off, I will never make that mistake again, Micah. I apologize on that. And yeah. And I'll tell you what. You know what? Next game, I want your opinion first, my man. All right. Mavericks at Jazz. Jazz, 8-point favorite. Total 208.5. Let me get you where our SportsLine experts are on this game. All right. Mike Barner's on the Mavericks +7. Zach Semity's on the Mavericks +6.5. Our man, Matty Severance, on the Jazz money line -261. Eating the juice tonight. And that's
that number right. That's a hell of a number.
Right. So, all right. What are your thoughts on this game, man? Go ahead. Break it down.
Well, the Jazz defense, I mean, they're going to be inspired. The home crowd always makes them play better. But you got to wonder about a team that went 3-10 ATS their last 13, shows that they're playing well below expectations, at least by the odds makers. And I look at that and I go, what is the deal? I mean, they out-rebounded the Mavericks by almost 20 in the first 2 games. And I'm like, where's the edge at? Oh, the Jazz defense is lazy. So we talked about the first game. They had 3 steals, right? This last game, they only had 2 steals. I mean, they are standing around doing virtually nothing but rebounding. And it's the Mavericks, this mentality that Jason Kidd has in them, that they just fight. They fight. They do not give up. They slow the pace. They know what's going on. They don't let the lead get too high. And this is why they've covered 6 of the last 7 games against the Jazz. It's the tenacity. And I don't even care that Doncic isn't playing. I think they're going to do well with Brunson and Dinwiddie again in this game. So I could see a win, but the points look so attractive to me. I mean, if it was like 4 or 3, I might have had to reconsider it and done it. But the 7.5, 8 looks really attractive to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Props. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious if Dallas can continue getting this output from Maxi Kleber. He has been unbelievable in the first 2 games, especially in game 2. 35 points combined. The guy has shot 10 of 16 from behind the arc in this series. When he's on the court, Utah has a significant rebounding advantage, but Dallas is just putting a bunch of shooters out there and they are making shots. So I think Utah really needs to punish them on the offensive glass. Inside, I think Gobert needs to step up in a big way in the scoring department, be active on the glass. That is such a plus matchup for him, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm curious to see if Gobert wakes up. I believe he's attempted 3 field goals combined in this series so far. So I do expect a more inspired performance from Gobert. Interesting to see who else is going to step up for Utah at home. And if Dallas is just playing with house money, in my opinion, is playing just a lot of guys contributing across the board. I want to say 5 or 6 guys in double figures as well. So, yeah, going to be really interesting to see if Maxi Kleber can continue this phenomenal output and shooting from behind the arc.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that. And also, M Squared, I'm throwing it to you here. Break down the game, but also, if you could, for me personally, I'm sitting here looking at 208.5. It seems like everybody would want to play the over, but where do your simulations have it? And is it a little bit of a sucker's bet?
It can be a little bit of a sucker's bet, but the number is mostly efficient. I have 210.4. Not enough in this situation for me to want to go play it still. I would elect to play it live if I were to play it. Some of the issue with that is Dallas. They're playing these guys massive minutes, which is changing. It's going to change some of the rotations a little bit for the Utah Jazz, but where the Jazz should have the edge is bringing in that fresh second unit, and they just haven't really got a lot of production out of them. They get 21 points in the last game from Jordan Clarkson, but they're getting nothing from Whiteside, Daniel House, nothing from starter Mike Conley. That's got to change, and I think it will at some point in the series, potentially tonight. But as far as the simulation on the game, 4.6 is my number. I kind of like Micah said, I think it was very close to the number he quoted, where you'd be more interested in taking the Utah side at that point. Yeah, I make it 4.6. I'm playing it on the crazy alt line because, like PropStars said, they've got shooters on the floor. They're playing big minutes, and at some point they're going to have an off shooting night, and they're going to struggle, which is going to lead to a lower total as well if and when that happens. But I'm just focused on it. You look at like Finney Smith and Reggie Bullock. Bullock played 45.2 minutes in the last game. Finney Smith, 42.2. Jalen Brunson, 42.5. I think Brunson, the way he plays, he can definitely continue to replicate what he's done. It takes a massive effort, and good for him. He's going to get paid at some point in the very, very near future because of this. Yeah. But man, it's we're talking about 4 guys that are averaging 42 minutes in this series here.
It's a ton of minutes. Yeah, props. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Mike brought up an excellent point. And 2, I want to point out as well, these guys were playing a ton of minutes down the stretch in the regular season as well. It's not like they were being saved for the postseason. Finney Smith, Bullock, Brunson, these guys were playing huge minutes in the regular season as Dallas was jockeying for position. Obviously ended up with home court advantage in this series. So I think the gamble paid off. But yeah, there comes a point, in my opinion, where those minutes are going to catch up to you. Also, the way they've been shooting from the perimeter is not sustainable, in my opinion, as well. So I do think this is a good spot for Utah to get a win.
All right, a couple quick questions here. All right, and we're going to look at total points. All right, props in this game. All right, Jalen Brunson, over 24.5 minus 130, under 24.5 plus 100. Maxi, as you spoke about, over 9.5 minus 115, under 9.5 minus 115. Let's see here on the Jazz side. Jordan Clarkson, 12.5. The overs minus 120. Donovan Mitchell, 28.5. Overs minus 145. Rudy Gobert over 13.5 at minus 105. And any thoughts that you guys have in regards to any of those props? I'll start with you and Micah. You guys feel free to jump in right after.
Yeah, I like Gobert. He opened at 12.5. I opened up a position on him at that number. 13.5, in my opinion, was what the number should have opened at. I do expect a more inspired performance. I talked about it earlier. As far as some of his teammates, Jordan Clarkson is playing a lot less than I anticipated him playing in the series. I think he only got 22 minutes in both of these games. Was playing upwards of 26 to 28 routinely in the regular season. So we're seeing a drop-off in playing time. Was closing a lot of games for Utah in the regular season. So interested to see if Clarkson is going to contribute a little more off the bench. This is a line you would never see in the regular season for him. His points line would kind of fluctuate between 15.5. It'd be as high as 18.5 in some matchups. So you're getting a definite discount on Jordan Clarkson there, but you're also getting a reduction in playing time. And obviously Dallas is also a very good defensive team, so this is a difficult matchup as well. I do think there is some value in that 9.5 number for Kleber. It is delicate though, because there is a good chance, or there is as far as looking at the various range of outcomes for him, there is one where he just makes 3 threes. So I definitely think that number is appropriate, but there is a decent possibility where he gets hooked on 9 points. Like we mentioned, he's been shooting just lights out. In my opinion, that is not sustainable. So I have loved what I've seen out of Kleber. And then as far as Brunson is concerned, at 24.5, big number for him. Is going to be on the floor a ton. Obviously has played exceptionally well, just holding down the fort for Dallas. But just at that number, I'm personally staying away.
All right, real quick, and then Mike, I want you guys to jump in. What about Bogdanovich? 20.5 points.
I would go over on him.
All right, yeah, let it rip. Go.
Yeah, just because it seems like it's Bogdanovich. He's a steady guy. He gets his game in, and then they wait for Mitchell to get hot. And that seems like the game plan every game. This is why they're not covering a lot, not winning a lot, especially on the road. Home, yes, thing, but Bogdanovich steady and Mitchell steady. Everybody else, they're not stepping up. And they haven't. And the home crowd's going to be nice, but I really think that those guys just continue to do their thing. So I don't even know what Mitchell's number. What is he, like 29, 28?
Yeah. Mitchell 28.5. Over 28.5 is minus 145.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
There you go. M Squared, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about all the guys we've talked about quickly. Maxi Kleber, I don't mind playing the 9.5. Like Propstar said, there's a great chance you get hooked here. He makes 3 threes. Still has a very positive impact on the game. However, if you don't like him and you want to play the under on that 9.5, I would strongly consider a position on the other side, because I don't see many paths to victory, at least, without Maxi Kleber putting in 10 plus points in this game. And then on the Bogdanovich side, Bogdanovich is absolutely benefiting from the rotations that this Dallas team has to play right now. He's probably seen the biggest boost in overall opportunity. We're going to see usage rates at least 25% from him, but where it really comes in is just the extra playing time. He's played 40 minutes in both of the first 2 games. That's definitely a product of the weaker bench and trusting someone in those high leverage possessions that they seem to find themselves in quite a bit here in the series so far. He's going to play 40 minutes again. That is a massive bump from that range where we've seen anywhere from 25 to 32, that range that we've seen from him really throughout his career. And in this spot, giving him 40 and, as long as the game stays competitive at 40, he's definitely, those numbers are soft on his player props.
Yeah. What do we think about Dinwiddie? 20.5 points over under. It's priced at minus 115, both sides.
Well, probably under, I would say.
Yeah.
I would under or nothing. I definitely don't like the over on it. Again, I think that I hope they don't lose by more than 17.5 selfishly for my play, but there's definitely a scenario here where these guys are playing big minutes, the shots aren't falling, and we have a comfortable double-digit win. I mean, obviously, it's kind of a dumb comment since the spread is 8. A double-digit win is mostly a median outcome here, but there's definitely a scenario where these guys lose the last 7 minutes of the game, much like the Minnesota guys did in that last game against Memphis.
Yeah. All right. Before we jump over to the next game, real quick, Josh Luck says, sorry, missed it when you guys were talking about the last game. He's asking about Dylan Brooks, over 18.5 points, minus 110. Prop stars, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't mind that. Dylan Brooks, very capable scorer. However, I do feel this line is fairly efficient. Um, in the past, with Brooks, there was just less scoring options on Memphis. We've also seen Morant evolve into a 30 point per game scorer, essentially. And you just have a lot of various options who are capable in Desmond Bane, and then the backcourt guys can score as well. Excuse me, the backcourt depth can score as well. So while I do anticipate Brooks, playing 30 minutes or so, and he's going to shoot when he's on the court floor, that's what the guy does. I do think the line is fairly efficient. I just don't think there's a big edge on the over, but I would lean over on it just to clarify.
Gotcha. Okay, cool, man. All right, let's jump into the last game here. And look, my man Robbie is asking exactly what I was going to bring up as well. So let me get the banner up here. We got the Warriors 2-point favorites at the Nuggets, total 223. Okay, so M Squared, I'm going to start with you. And if you have any thoughts here, all right, in regards to the trends with the Nuggets first quarter, Nuggets first half, but Warriors full game. So any thoughts there? Your thoughts on the game as a whole? Break it down, man. What do you see?
Yeah, I like the Warriors. I think it's a huge opportunity for them. A very similar situation to the Memphis game. Model doesn't actually love them a ton. It gives Denver a pretty big edge playing at home relative to what their ratings are on the road. And that's the reason it puts them there as only 1-point favorites. But another spot where if you ask me to handicap the game without my simulations, I would make this 3.5 to 4 for the Warriors in this spot. As far as first quarter, first half, I don't want to get into it too much here with them. I do think that there's something to it. I mean, it's when they should be the most energized from the crowd. It's, to start the game. It's where they should have a little bit of benefit. But overall, not something that I personally would want to bet into just because we've seen teams like that succeeding so far in the first half of games.
No doubt. And the numbers there, first quarter, the spread, Nuggets -1.5 at +100. All right, Micah, your thoughts there? Anything on first quarter, first half, full game, and just the game as a whole, man? Break it down. And you got the Warriors on the money line.
Just Michael Malone, I heard him talking. He's like, "Oh, we're going to get more players involved." I'm like, "More players? Where are the more players coming from? At the end of the bench? DeMarcus Cousins? Is that who you're talking about? Bryn Forbes? I don't know where these new players are coming from. Is it Fat Lever, Alex English, David Thompson? Who are these new players that are coming for the Nuggets tonight? I don't know.
They're just cloning them out of the locker room, just shipping them right out, man.
It's crazy. So good luck on that plan and, making a new plan here. Hopefully it works for them. But I think they've kind of sealed their fate their last 14, 15 games. Not a good look. Come back quick, Jamal Murray. Need you. Michael Porter, hurry back. Next season will be much better.
There you go, man. Prop Stars, what are your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, in my opinion, this Nuggets team is just simply overmatched, especially in the playoffs. We're looking at guys like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, the ascension of Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins. There are just so many shot makers, so many shooters, so many offensive threats on this offense. And then when we look at Denver, outside of Nikola Jokic, we're looking at Will Barton stepping up as their next best scorer, or Aaron Gordon, who are fine players, but they are not second scoring options, in my opinion. So just a really tough spot for Denver, who played exceptionally well in the regular season. I think that kind of created a little more hope for them coming into the playoffs. They just ran into a buzzsaw that is Golden State. In my opinion, they look as good as any team in the playoffs, especially when they're asserting that death lineup that we keep talking about. We've just seen some glimpses of it. We got a big taste of it in game 2. Absolutely phenomenal when you got Draymond at center, Wiggins, Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson in one lineup. Just phenomenal. One prop I did want to mention that I highlighted in my column that dropped a couple hours ago for SportsLine is Otto Porter, actually. His PRA line is 11.5. However, he has not played well in the opening 2 games. However, he has played nearly 25 minutes in both those games. Draymond Green is still on a minutes cap, hasn't exceeded 30 minutes in both playoff games. This was a line you would never see from Porter in the regular season. He's still on the floor, just hasn't produced. I believe he's shooting like 20%. In my opinion, we're getting a huge discount for a guy that's going to play 25 minutes, have a ton of open looks as a byproduct of playing with all these fantastic, brilliant basketball players. And this line is just too low. It's a bit speculative, but in my opinion, I just had to take it at 11.5. And I think if it's available for you guys, you should as well.
There we go. All right. Yeah. M Squared, your thoughts here, man?
Yeah, I think that it's interesting. And I talked about how awesome it would be for Golden State to get this win, get really on the way to getting the sweep, getting all the additional rest. They're also resting in game a little bit here. Klay Thompson played the most minutes at 35.8 in the last game. Steph Curry is going to play more minutes in this game. It's going to directly impact Klay's minutes, in my opinion, just a little bit. I don't think we see a single Golden State player play more than 33 minutes in this game tonight. And if they do, it's because they're down by 7 at some point early fourth quarter and they extend those rotations a bit. But if not, I think Curry's going to do an excellent job of kind of managing those. And then Andre Iguodala is back tonight as well. That's something to watch. Could impact Porter a little bit. Could definitely impact Looney even more than the only 11 minutes that he's played. Could definitely continue to let them rest Draymond a little bit. And obviously Klay Thompson at that point. So as much as it is enticing to play some of these guys props, I know their 3-point shooting props are incredibly popular. There's just so many guys that can score the basketball. And I think that we're going to see, basic unofficial minutes caps around 32 unless they're trailing late in this game.
All right. Look, I'll tell you what, I apologize. I don't normally leave the seat while either Mike is talking or just during the show, but it's for a good reason. And I'm going to show you why. Micah, we're going to play a game. Okay. And you're going to choose it for me. We've got Klay Thompson over 3.5 3-pointers minus 120. We've got Steph Curry over 3.5 3-pointers minus 120. Now, first off, both of those questions are in the chat, full through it. So I want you to break it down. But what we're going to do is this. All right. Look, $100 on the line right now.
Really?
Which one am I taking? You pick. I'm taking the over. But it's either going to be Klay or it's going to be Steph.
I guess
you choose for me.
Steph.
All right, lock it in right there. There we go. Okay, now break down your thoughts. Why do you like Steph here? And just any other props, players that you might be looking at.
Oh, me? You want me to give more player props out?
Well, just your thoughts, man. Just anything you got. Or prop stars. Feel free to jump in as well.
No, Steph's going to find his spot. And Denver's perimeter defense is horrible. So he's going to be able to shoot pretty much, and he can make it anywhere he shoots it. He's going to probably make 5 of 8, I would guess. That'd be something that would be around his style. And, get that thing over. You say 4.5?
Yeah.
3.5.
Mike. All right,
I was going to say, I lean towards Steph as well. And the primary reason for that, honestly, is assuming that he's not starting again somehow. He's going to get his first 7 minutes of the game where he's not necessarily competing with Poole and Wiggins all the way. He's going to play some of those final minutes of the quarter with Bjelica, Gary Payton, Otto Porter Jr., Iguodala at this point. He's going to be the man. That's where he should make at least one of his threes. Probably is going to shoot 3 of them in that little window. That personally is why I like it, because there isn't going to be as much competition if he is not in the starting lineup and does get to run that. If he is in the starting lineup, I think it's relatively close, but if he's in the starting lineup, I think that usage definitely hits to Klay. And I think that Klay's minutes don't go up. They could only go down, if not stay the same.
Yeah, makes sense. Prop stars. Now, here's a question for you. Jordan Poole. All right, so your thoughts on him as a whole tonight. His 3-point number, over 2.5, minus 145. So a little juicy there. But your thoughts on Jordan Poole as a whole for anybody who might be playing any of his props?
I love Jordan Poole. I think he's an exceptional player. Obviously got off to just a fantastic start in this series. Reports did come out that Steph Curry's workload and playing time would increase tonight. I definitely think that could impact Poole a little bit, which was why I think his 3-point line is at 2.5 when it's been routinely set at 3.5 towards the end of the regular season when he was just going nuclear. It was as high as 4.5 routinely, with it being pretty juiced to the over as well. I typically stay away from 3-point over props, especially when we're talking about juice. in the minus 145 range. So not a prop I have any interest in, but there is a prop that I do want to talk about. That is Draymond Green's PRA line. If you can still find this as high as 23.5, I think that is just inflated. Draymond Green is still not exceeding 30 minutes. Mike talked about the minutes cap. He hasn't played 30 minutes in the first 2 games to open this series. Iguodala's coming back tonight. Kerr definitely wants to rest these guys as much as possible if he can. That is just a lot of offensive output to ask out of Draymond when he's playing probably 26 to 28 minutes tonight. Furthermore, he made a 3 in both of these games. That is not something that we're accustomed to seeing. Draymond averaged 0.3 3-pointers made per game in the regular season. So just shot the ball very well. I do think that with Curry getting more playing time, while it might help his assist category, there's just not going to be as many shots for Draymond. They really just don't need really scoring production from him for this team to be successful. I just think fading him at 23.5 is a very solid bet. I'd even consider it at 22.5 for a half unit.
All right. I like it. All right. So let's hit our best bets because we got to get out of here so everybody can get their bets in. Get on with it. All right. I'm going with Steph Curry over 3.5. Micah, nice call on that. I like it. All right. So let's get our best bets here. I'll tell you what, M Squared, you go first with the donkey here. Break it down. What we got?
Yep. Alternate lines on this one here. Grizzlies plus 8.5, Mavericks plus 17.5, Golden State Warriors plus 7.5. Very important to get 8.5, 7.5 as much as you can, frankly, whatever your book will allow you to. If you can find 8.5 on Golden State, definitely grab it. If you want to play with fire a little bit, drop the Mavericks from 17.5 down to 14, 13.5. If you really want to have some fun, get this to the plus 115, plus 125 range. I don't hate that, but there's a reason for what I do with the simulations and the ranges that I'm putting out there. So this is what I am the most comfortable with, minus 112 here on this one.
I love it. All right, Micah, you're on the Warriors money line minus 130. What do you like, buddy?
Yeah, the Warriors, they've won 7 straight. They get better with each game. They're getting healthier with each game, more confidence with each game. I think they can win the NBA title, and I'm not going to stand in their way. They covered 6 out of their last 7, but 7 straight wins. There we go, $1.30, cheap price with the struggling Nuggets squad that has covered, only 4 times their last 14 games. Yeah, they're both teams. One going down, one's going up.
There we go. 2 ships passing in the night. Prop stars, hit me with a little cat information here, buddy.
Yeah, I'm fading Karl Anthony Towns, taking his under 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists. My buddy Chris just informed me that Jaren Jackson Jr. is starting at center for Memphis. That is a big advantage Memphis, in my opinion, from a defensive standpoint, compared to Steven Adams, who really lacked the lateral quickness to kind of follow Cat out to the perimeter as well. We saw him just fall out of favor in Memphis's rotation, only played, I believe it was 2 or 3 minutes in game 2. So I think this is a good sign for fading Cat. He's got to prove to me that he is worth a number this big. We're not looking at a big sample, but 7 career playoff games only eclipsed this line 1 time, averaging 32.1 combined points, rebounds, and assists in his playoff career. Stayed under this line in 3 or 4 regular season games against the Grizzlies, a good defensive team who were 6th in defensive rating over the regular season. I just think this is too big of a number. It's largely inflated, with the idea that he's getting more minutes, but it's just he has not earned it. I haven't seen that second gear where he elevates his play in the playoffs. This is one of those lines, they happen seldomly, but they do happen in the playoffs. I discussed it yesterday with Jaylen Brown, where I immediately saw the number and just knew it was way too big before I even looked at it against projections, before I modeled with it, before I did anything with it. It just immediately stuck out as inflated. Those spots tend to be excellent fade spots, in my opinion, just grossly inflated. So we're taking the under 39.5 points, rebounds, and assists for Karl Anthony Towns.
And you know what's good about the under? You're always winning till it gets over. So
you start out with a win, Micah. What's better than that?
Yeah.
There you go. I like it. That's well done. All right. To end it, all right, normally we go 30 seconds each person, but I think we've kind of done that tonight. All right, so props, I'm going to throw it to you. You have the ultimate job of shutting the show down for us, and we're going to do it on this. Our man John asks, Wiggins, over 15.5 points, plus 100. Your thoughts there, and we're getting out of it. What do you think?
Lean over on it, but there's just so many shooters on this Golden State team who are more than capable of scoring 16 plus points. I do like it. I just think there's just a bevy of offensive talent that it's just hard to trust when the volume's not necessarily going to be there. It doesn't need to be there for Wiggins. He can get away with taking 8 to 12 shots in this game, and the Warriors can be very successful without a large offensive output from him. So while I would lean over on it, it's just hard for me to trust just because of how balanced their attack is, and with Steph Curry's playing time on the increase, on the rise, I just am staying away from sort of the secondary scoring options on Golden State.
That's fair enough, man. You know what? Anybody have any final thoughts there? Anything you want to add?
Well, I would go to the under a little bit on Wiggins, just because it's the same reason I kind of like the total a little bit under, because I think it'll be not very close at the end, and there's no reason to have your starters in there at the end of a game. So that would be my reason.
All right. Mike, I was going to say, it just was something great, baby.
Yeah. I'll lean towards the under on it. I'm not going to play it, though. Not something I'd want to play. Someone or a combination is going to lose out a little bit in terms of usage of minutes tonight. My projection is that it's either going to be Klay Thompson or Andrew Wiggins, just a little bit. I think Poole's earned the right to be out there quite a bit for them. Steph Curry's going to play more minutes. Andre Iguodala available. I don't think it all directly impacts Draymond. I think Draymond's still going to hit that 28 to 30 minute mark. So in terms of minutes or usage, it would not shock me at all to see 2 less minutes each for Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins in this game tonight.
There we go. All right. That's all the damage that we could do for tonight. Thank you so much. We'll be back live Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Tune in. We'll hit you with the best bets for Friday. But let's cash our tickets tonight. Thank you, guys. Everybody. Have a good night.
You.
Yep. See you in the morning.